the biology of feeling safe enough to recover. Recovery does not begin with rest. It begins with safety. And without that signal, the body treats every pause as temporary. For years, scientists assumed recovery was mechanical. Sleep more, rest longer, reduce effort. But the data revealed something deeper. Many people rested regularly, yet never truly recovered. The gap between rest and recovery became one of the most important distinctions in longevity research, because it pointed to a variable that no amount of scheduling or discipline could address directly. To understand why, researchers had to look at how the nervous system decides when repair is allowed, because biologically, recovery is not automatic. It is conditional. The body does not repair simply because activity has stopped. It repairs because it has received a specific set of signals indicating that the current period of inactivity is genuine and will not be interrupted. The body asks a simple question before it repairs. Is the threat over? If the answer is unclear, vigilance remains. Muscles relax slightly. The mind slows a bit. But deep repair does not activate. The body enters a holding pattern, conserving energy without investing it, waiting for the confirmation that never arrives. This explained a puzzling pattern. People with stable routines and clear boundaries recovered faster than those with more free time. Safety came from predictability, not leisure. The finding overturned the intuitive assumption that more rest means more recovery. What mattered was not the quantity of rest, but the quality of the signal that accompanied it. When life felt resolvable, stress responses shut down cleanly. Inflammation cleared. Sleep reached its deepest phases. Aging slowed, not because damage was avoided, but because repair finally completed. The completion was the critical variable. Recovery is not a state. It is a process with stages, and the later stages, the ones that involve the deepest repair, only activate when the body is confident that interruption will not occur. In contrast, lives filled with uncertainty blocked recovery. Even during rest, the nervous system stayed alert. The body prepared for interruption. Repair waited. The waiting was not a failure of willpower or discipline. It was a rational response to an environment that had consistently demonstrated that rest could be revoked at any moment. What made this dangerous was invisibility. Fatigue became normal. Shallow rest felt acceptable. Aging advanced quietly beneath functionality. The person felt tired but functional, a state that was normalized by a culture in which tiredness is treated as evidence of productivity rather than as a warning of incomplete recovery. The first step toward longevity was not doing less. It was convincing the body that it was safe enough to stop, and once that signal was missing, no amount of rest could replace it. As researchers examined this safety signal more closely, they found it was shaped less by comfort and more by certainty. The body did not ask whether life was easy. It asked whether life was predictable enough to stand down. The distinction reframed the entire conversation about recovery. The goal was not to eliminate difficulty, but to establish boundaries around it. In environments with clear expectations, recovery engaged quickly. Work ended at defined times. Roles had boundaries. Interruptions were rare and meaningful. The nervous system trusted that rest would not be violated. The trust was built not through any single experience, but through the sustained pattern of boundaries being respected. In uncertain environments, rest failed. Even when effort stopped, anticipation remained. A message could arrive. A demand could return. The body stayed half awake, conserving energy instead of repairing. The anticipation was not anxiety in the clinical sense. It was a biological stance, a low-level readiness that consumed exactly the resources that repair needed. Biologically, this altered recovery architecture. Deep sleep shortened. Growth and repair hormones released less reliably. Inflammation resolved only partially. Aging accelerated without obvious stress. The acceleration was not dramatic. It was incremental, a slow narrowing of the margins that the body depends on for long-term maintenance. What surprised researchers was how little uncertainty was required. A single, unresolved responsibility, an open-ended role, a schedule without firm stops. These were enough to keep vigilance alive. The threshold was far lower than anyone had expected. The body did not need a crisis to remain alert. It needed only the absence of proof that alertness was unnecessary. Attempts to improve recovery often miss this point. People focused on techniques, better sleep hygiene, relaxation practices, supplements, but none of these restored the missing signal. The techniques addressed symptoms while leaving the underlying condition untouched. They were like soundproofing a room without removing the noise source. The perception of quiet improved, but the vibration continued. Safety was not created by doing recovery better. It was created by removing doubt, by proving that rest would not be interrupted. That effort had truly ended. The proof had to be structural, not rhetorical. Telling the body to relax does not work. Demonstrating through sustained experience that relaxation will be respected does. This reframed longevity once again. The body does not recover when it is tired. It recovers when it feels safe. And in a world designed around constant availability, that feeling has become increasingly rare. The conflict emerges when modern life quietly erodes the conditions required for safety. Availability is praised. Responsiveness is expected. Silence feels suspicious. The cultural values that govern professional and social life are directly opposed to the biological conditions that recovery requires. People adapt by staying lightly engaged even during rest. Phones nearby, minds half open, bodies prepared to respond. The nervous system never fully releases control. The adaptation is rational, given the environment, but it is biologically expensive because partial engagement prevents the full disengagement that deep recovery depends on. Researchers observed that this partial engagement blocked deep recovery. Even long periods of rest failed to restore resilience. Sleep occurred, but repair lagged behind. The sleep was genuine in the sense that the person was unconscious, but it was incomplete in the sense that the body never reached the stages of sleep where the most important repair occurs. This created a dangerous illusion. Individuals believed they were recovering because they were resting. But biologically, they were only pausing. Vigilance never ended. The illusion was sustained by the absence of acute symptoms. The person did not feel sick, so they assumed they were well, unaware that wellness and recovery are not the same thing. The body does not differentiate between real threat and anticipated interruption. Both keep systems alert. Both delay repair. The nervous system treats potential disruption with the same seriousness as actual disruption, because from a survival perspective, the cost of being caught unprepared is too high to risk. Those who recovered best lived in environments that enforced disconnection, clear off hours, physical separation from work, social norms that respected unavailability. The enforcement was not punitive. It was structural, built into the design of the environment rather than dependent on individual discipline. When these conditions existed, biology responded quickly. Stress hormones dropped, inflammation resolved, aging markers stabilized. The rapidity of the response suggested that the body had been ready to recover all along. It had simply been waiting for permission. The conflict then is not personal discipline. It is cultural expectation. Longevity struggles in systems that never allow true safety to emerge. And until safety is structurally protected, recovery will remain incomplete, no matter how much rest we try to take. The climax of this story is the realization that recovery is not something the body does automatically. It is something the body allows only when it feels safe. Without safety, rest is shallow. Repair is delayed. Aging accelerates quietly, even in lives that appear balanced and healthy. The resolution is not more recovery techniques. It is redesigning life to remove constant anticipation, clear endings, protected boundaries, periods where nothing can intrude. The redesign is not about willpower. It is about architecture, about building environments in which the conditions for deep recovery are not optional extras, but built-in features. Longevity depends on trust. When the body trusts that effort has ended, it invests again. Cells repair, systems reset, time loosens its grip. The trust is not given, it is earned through the sustained evidence that rest will be real and recovery will not be interrupted. Modern life has blurred this trust. Availability never ends. Silence feels temporary. The nervous system stays on guard. But when safety returns, recovery follows naturally. Not through force, but through permission. Because in the end, the body does not age fastest from hard work. It ages fastest when it never believes it is safe enough to stop. Subscribe to join the journey. The biology